So like I said, this is a combination of several portions of different videos talking about the Acolyte. Some clips that I thought were of interesting for conversation, some that were just hilarious. Let's take a little look-see, shall we? Let's begin.
The Acolyte is a story about what it's like to be good, then be punished over and over again for your good actions. You trust the Jedi, they abandon your training. You trust the Jedi again, you miss out on a jailbreak.
Why
was that?
Why did you play that?
Someone forgot
Does he live in
to.
a Buddhist temple? What the fuck?
I don't know.
I was about to ask about that, but it's an interesting background. There's like a big mirror over there.
Yeah, he
a
has
weird
his
chair. I don't know what they're called.
It's I call it. Let's call it the. Ooh, what are those called?
The mirror of your set.
Oh, that's from the Harry Potter movie.
Yes.
I was actually about to ask if any of these
desire.
are recognized.
It shows me as I most desire a roof. Ooh. Interesting. I didn't know that.
So the Acolyte is about doing good things, or good people doing good things.
And being punished for doing those good things.
And one of his examples was training with the Jedi and then they abandon you.
But that's not what happened, and she says that explicitly when she says it was my decision to leave, and it was the most hard thing I'd ever did, but it was my choice, Sol. So no, you can get all the way to episode 5, and the protagonist hasn't actually made a positive affirmative decision because she has no agency, because that's how we like our protagonists to be. So she's not really being punished by.
Hey, she freed that random prisoner man with the thing on his mouth.
Oh,
good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I successfully
made one affirmative decision.
Successfully defended the Acolyte. Yes.
Didn't even save a zebra. Don't care.
She chose to miss the lady on the the speeder.
And how good could she be?
True. Yeah.
You try to help your fellow man, and he betrays you.
Well, he doesn't know what's happening.
He's kind of freaked out.
Yeah. To be fair to that guy, he had just got like dragged out of some crazy like form of being stunned by like an alien, right?
Alien acid trip.
Yeah, he got no clue what's going on. He's terrified.
What was funny was how
we would call like a rational entity right now.
And it was interesting how he was able to get up and he could laser focus on running to the escape pod and being able to press all the buttons inside to jettison it. He could do that with pinpoint precision, perfection, accuracy level. But when it comes to just a woman being like, "Hey, what's up?" he screams his head off and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Was he trying to frame her as well? I can't remember what his dialogue was.
No, the other guys were trying to frame. So like he's mad. She was told explicitly that you put the weird facehugger on violent prisoners. So when she takes it off, she's already a fucking moron. Then it's fucking stupid that the escape pods unlock in the event of a security breach because that's dumb. Then they somehow pick up all the escape pods, and the other prisoners who are not violent people are the ones who say, "Oh no, it was her. She did everything." But he's mad until Sol goes and mind reads him because he can do that in that scene, but then forgets to do it later. But he never tries to dop her in.
I think the entire construction of that spaceship's cockpit, where you have the prisoners there who are not like stripped of their belongings and they're made to change clothes or shackled or anything like that are right behind where the pilots are sitting, and prisoners are allowed to keep like equipment that can wirelessly hack the pilots because we can't use people.
Yeah, that's a bad
idea. Use robots for stuff. It's a mess. The construction of the ship, the logistics it's like they designed specifically so that prisoners could escape.
Yes, but having one robot be the guard too, that's a little bit of an error.
But luckily that facilitates a delay that allows them to go on their little their bonus mission in episode 2 that lets them allow the main villain to escape. You know, like we need all of this stuff to happen to allow stupider stuff to happen.
Well, it's even more than that, because she shouldn't have been on the ship anyway. Yord and What's-Her-Face should have taken her to go back to the Jedi Temple instead of dumping her randomly on this prison cage to go to, I assume, Coruscant to meet up with them where they were going anyway. But we had to split them up so we could have that ice planet waste of time.
Well, it's designed to let them escape. It's a plot ship. That's actually an actual class. Not bad.
Yeah,
maybe it's a trust system. Maybe that's how the New Republic or the High Republic operate. They're interchangeable. If I mix up the names, I promise it literally does not matter. But maybe they operate on the trust system where it's like, hey, if they're really, if they're good prisoners, and they go along with it, then it means they really do want to repent and pay their debt to society, which means we can just let them go. But the ones that escape, I mean, well, they're gone, but now we know that they really were bad the whole time.
For what it may be worth, I think someone being able to betray you presupposes you having an accord with them. So, you know,
there's no betrayal. He has no idea what's going on. This is nonsense data.
Being good isn't so good.
Being good isn't so good.
do you think people...
Are we arguing that's what the Acolyte's about? It's like, maybe. That's the point she's trying to make.
Then you meet another you that isn't so good. Your evil twin. Your shadow. The Acolyte.
He's not a shadow. A shadow follows you around wherever you go. If you shadow someone, you're
the vaccinated version. With the COVID mask.
The Acolyte is a very Jungian.
Rags. Get your media literacy up. The shadow self.
Oh
Learn about it,
the loser's journey. Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Is good Star Wars, which will surprise many people prejudging the show on its dire Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, prejudging.
Just to be clear, we're not prejudging this show. We are post-judging this show.
Yes.
We've been seeing it. It's still bad.
Luckily for us, at no point in our videos did we say the show is bad because it has a low Rotten Tomatoes audience score. That's not why it's bad.
No.
Yeah.
But I did prejudge it, and I did think it was going to suck, and I was right.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. It's like, I did think it was going to be bad. You got me.
You're like, you know what? I did prejudge it, and I was fucking right.
The point of a trailer is to be judged. Obviously, their intention is that you will judge it favorably enough to watch the show, but, you know, there's the other alternative that you judge it harshly and don't want to watch it, or you watch it and then you find out that it's bad anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, that's the whole point of a trailer. It's to be judged.
Well,
So
like,
the idea
in
that
his...
you're not allowed to judge something before it comes out, I mean, to some extent, yes, you can.
He was barely complimenting the story at all, and we already had like 17 issues with what he had presented. It's like the tiny amount.
What he's presented is essentially the premise of the show is not the case. Pretty obviously.
And the low quality of almost everything Star Wars since Disney bought the franchise.
True.
Everything is so bright. These clips are so bright.
He's fucked with them, obviously. Maybe he did it for copyright? I don't know.
Yeah, probably
don't need to.
This will
maybe
be
it's
copyright.
This is called profound lighting, and this is a
It evokes-
profound.
Oh, this
sense.
is what we call enlighting.
It's an aesthetic.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's enlightening.
Aesthetic.
Yeah.
I feel enlightened.
Nice.
Or by the endless number of outraged YouTube videos from angry
Look at these monsters.
Look, it's all of you.
I recognize that theory, man. He's the worst.
Oh my goodness.
Not as bad as
Nerdrotic
the
Daily.
nerd-erotic, though.
Stop the Asian hate. Okay, leave Perry alone.
It's all your fault.
angry middle-aged men shocked to discover
Middle-aged.
I am not middle-aged. I'm old. Fucker.
How dare you?
Angry middle-aged
Well, you
men.
can't-
What
I'm not
does the
living to
age and
100.
gender
You
matter?
can't be caring about this if you're middle-aged.
Yo, that's not fair. He double dipped on you.
He
Yeah.
did.
Nerdrotic Daily and Nerdrotic. You
Also,
fucker.
Also, those are all thumbnails after
feel
watching
attacked.
episodes of the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
These are
fine.
all
wish
from
this
after
man
watching
would-
episodes of the show.
This
I wish
is
this
an
man would
incredible
enunciate
thumbnail.
normally.
I thought that was Gina Carano for a second there. I'm like, why is her face
It's
on there?
Gina
That's weird.
Carano.
Why does she want to? Does she want to? What is this? What is the scissors implying?
Oh, I
really?
don't know. Who knows? Who could
Like-
say?
Arts and crafts.
Yeah.
That's
too.
it.
Oh yeah, because they're women. Yeah, that's true.
Is this
Who is
what
this
women
even
want?
for?
That's a television show
That's a funny thumbnail.
primarily
Mike
made
Zeros.
for 12-year-olds.
He used. Oh, they're all.
This
Okay.
shit is
Wasn't-
made for.
Whoa.
12-year-olds?
12-year-olds. Listen, I despise children in all their forms, but even I'm going to stick up and say that this is like a 12-year-old would hate this. Come on.
I don't even.
I know I would.
Wasn't
Is it really
I don't
designed for
think it's
12-year-olds?
I don't think
In the
I
last
think it's-
episode,
I don't think
someone
so.
got their necks snapped and got penetrated
snapped.
3 times by a
This-
lightsaber. It's like,
Yeah,
The one
that's
guy
not really-
kills himself. It's like, yeah.
This is designed for adults with no sense of quality.
I think Leslie Headland has said it's the most important work of art she's ever created, so it's going to be
Yes.
news to her that it's
Yeah,
intended
but
for 12-year-olds.
babies.
Mm.
Hey, to be fair, like Judy Bloom, right? You know.
Well, I mean,
I'm just so bored by the whole argument. It's made for 12-year-olds. It's just like, can you just make something good for them?
Yeah, for the record, this argument has never worked for anything, and he doesn't believe it either. Nobody believes in this argument. As soon as they realize how stupid it sounds, when they like just apply this, like, no deep analysis should be made of Toy Story. It's for kids. You're like, oh, well, okay.
Stop it.
WALL-E is for babies. So stop talking about it. And by the way, you never hear anyone say you shouldn't like this so much. It's meant for kids. Well, then again, you probably did that about My Little Pony, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what?
There's always an exception.
Aged men shocked to discover that a television show primarily made for 12-year-olds wasn't fully satisfying their...
This is doubly odd, considering his profound description of what the show was supposed to be about being good and evil,
the shadow self,
of that nature, the shadow self.
As if a fucking 12-year-old's gonna be familiar with. Yeah, come on.
What's with this music? Yeah, this music.
Is this like a philosopher?
It's like he's throwing out both sides of the argument because you'll fall on one of them surely, so that
covered all bases.
Pincer.
You might end up combining them into some one very singular, very clever argument, which is that the Acolyte is designed to tell 12-year-olds that there is no point even trying to be good.
Yeah, don't bother being good.
So incredibly based of Disney.
It's just funny,
just be shit. Just be awful.
The show is excellent, and if you think it's bad, it's for 12-year-olds. So shut up. It's like what?
The show isn't supposed to be good, but if it is good, and it is, then that is good.
Good.
Yeah.
Adult emotional needs. I'm just waiting for Nerdrotic to give his outraged take on how Bluey the Australian cattle dog has betrayed fans.
Bluey went woke a long time ago, all right? And I'm done with Bluey.
He's betrayed the fans.
He's betrayed the fandom, betrayed the lore.
I knew
I don't know anything about Bluey lore. All I know is that Bluey's who's the dad? Is Bluey the kid or the adult?
I have no idea.
Which one's Bluey?
Ring, you would know. You're Australian.
All I know is that the dad's a cuck. So that's
also Free not going to bat for his Australian doggo. Damn.
Oh, well, right? I think Bluey's the kid. I haven't watched Bluey.
I think I've seen one or two episodes, and I don't remember everyone's names. I'm sorry.
I've seen maybe a handful of clips on like Twitter about how the show is like really good, but I haven't watched it.
That was actually what I was going to add to it. Was from what I saw of Bluey, I did think like this is a solid show for its demographic. But
we have, for one, as the chat correctly pointed out, Acolyte is TV-14. Number two, if this guy can't differentiate Bluey and the Acolyte, it says more about him. Okay, so
what even like the original Star Wars? What was the rating for that? It came out
PG.
PG, right?
Well, that was prior to PG-13. But that was the time where you would get boobs in PG movies like Airplane. Like that was a different time.
Return of the Jedi is PG too, but that was 83. So it wasn't until Red Dawn, right? That was the first PG-13.
Yeah. But thanks to Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom.
It's just a tired fucking argument.
Acolyte is M-rated, so the idea is like, it's for kids. It ain't. It's explicitly not.
Super Smash Bros. Melee was rated T for teen.
That's right. It was.
I'm just tired of the argument. So many people use it. It's like, why? What are you doing?
Stop. It's a good argument. And also, I presume that why are you dragging down like Bluey and being like, you can't assess it in any way that would be like, that's what people do for that show, don't they? They're like assess it as being like better than would be expected.
It's adults create it, and adults have to clear it before showing their very young children. Why do you think that is?
It is a very fascinating trend of like you can't defend the things that you like without tearing other things down. It's a really fascinating thing because, of course, with Star Wars, the thing that we've seen is in order to defend Disney Star Wars, it's not uncommon for people to shit on what came before that, whether it's the prequels or the original trilogy. It's a very bizarre way of defending the things that you like by shitting on the other things that belong to that series.
And let's just stop not pretending, but like thinking that things have to be retarded for kids.
Yes.
Yeah. You're watching Star Trek, the original series. I watched that when I was like 5 and 6. All right. That's That's what I was watching. It wasn't made for a 5 and 6 year old, but that's what I was watching. That's what we were watching because like there was kid shows, but most of the stuff we liked wasn't particularly made for or specifically made for little kids or 12-year-olds. It was supposed to get adults in there too. They wanted as many people to watch it as possible for advertising and for money. Crazy time.
I mean, I grew up watching Indiana Jones, and that was like people getting shot and thrown around and sliced and all that good stuff. I watched Temple of Doom when I was a kid, and I'm like, dude, he fucking pulled out his heart. This guy's up to no good.
There was that movie with the guy with the blue light sword chopped off a guy's arm in the cantina. It was horrifying.
True.
I couldn't believe it. I loved it.
It's coming.
Ray
I wasn't
Spannon
going
would
to
just
watch
shoot
The
people.
Acolyte. I'm a 46-year-old man.
That has nothing to do.
Okay,
Well, you're 46-year-old. Let's chill.
He looks
the same
56.
age as Star Wars itself. And my assumption is that anything Disney Star Wars will be made for children.
I'm not going to
So that's his section. I just don't.
Is that it?
Well, yeah.
That
I
was
mean,
fascinating.
there's way more, but there's way more for everyone here. We've got to give everyone a chance.
Have you been? Have you seen Star Wars Celebration? How many children do you see there?
Well, like Andor is just
Not
like
many.
clearly made for adults.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a mature show that a kid is just not going to be able to understand fully. It's just got more
You'll
going
get some
on.
kids out there who will really love it, right?
So I'm curious now. Did you watch the full video of his? I assume you did.
Oh yeah, so I let him keep the intro and his
Namaste.
"it's not for you, it's for children" argument. Now we're moving on to
No. What I'm wondering is, so does he watch Star Wars? Because if he goes like, "Oh, I assume it's made for children," why would he even watch it then if you're not interested in that?
You know what?
Or is this just his way to judge the shows? Like he watches like, oh, this is for children, so it's allowed to be really, really stupid.
I think what he was saying was he wouldn't have expected that it was gonna be some amazing thing because it's not for him as a demographic, but that he was surprised, that actually it's pretty good. And then obviously we didn't like it because we came in looking to not like it straight away, which is a sentiment that will be shared by others in this video. But this next,
his whole point was to say he was more mature than us, which is true, and he is, and we're a bunch of assholes, which is true, but we're more fun. So fuck that guy.
It's just funny because I still feel like we have detailed analysis of every scene. Meanwhile, the people who love these shows oftentimes are like, yeah, but the fight was really cool. You're like, yeah, okay. Episode 5 redeemed the show. Anyway, this is a video called "The Acolyte is Actually Good," or "Good Actually," and open with a question. So
actually,
classic title.
I'm going to say episode 5 completely redeemed The Acolyte, but for me, it was among the best episodes of Star Wars TV.
The best? Full stop?
Wow. You know what? I'm going to be honest. He looks like the kind of guy who would say that.
Well, but think about it though. If we remove Andor, it might be.
Yeah.
Wait, it actually might be true. Yeah, because we have the guy, the Darth Smilo, he said, "You brought her here," and I was like, "Oh, that was like a good line."
It was a line that people died. That was nice.
Yeah, some people died. Some people got fucking.
The choreography
killed.
wasn't
cool.
like complete cringe.
Always terrible. Yeah.
So
did Yord have like a good moment as well?
I didn't actually factor in the fact that the bar was so subterraneanly low that he might technically be correct.
Oh boy.
The bar is like buried 2 miles beneath the surface right above the magma.
I mean, most people agree
that's where the bar is.
It was
right
better
there.
than episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's most people agree with that.
Well, someone in chat has pointed out the Dr. Pershing episode in Mando. That's probably
right.
To be fair,
that's the best.
It might not be better than Mando season 1, episode 1 as well. I'd have to really think about it. I'm not sure.
True.
I just
really, it has some stiff competition here.
There's some stuff it's got to be.
Episodes of Mando.
The Pershing episode though. It is the best non-Andor Disney episode.
My attempt to agree with him, I'm like discounting this and 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 this, but maybe you might be onto something.
We're more than halfway through Acolyte. So here's what I think is working and what isn't, just based on the show itself. Because honestly, the toxic discourse around this thing can catch the nearest Purgle to a faraway galaxy.
I mean, I would hope that you were going to be assessing it because
the space whales, right?
What? Oh, they're called Purgles?
They're called Purgle.
Yeah, that's
no,
right.
they're not.
You learned that in the show.
Yes.
You clearly weren't paying attention to Ahsoka.
You loved Ahsoka.
At the time,
David
I was
Tennant
paying
told us
attention.
that. David Tennant told us that. What I was going to say is, like, it's weird to preface, I'm assessing the show for the show. I would hope that you're assessing the show.
That's what you normally do when you talk about a show.
Well, he separated himself from the toxic people.
Tribble.
Right.
You say
what does it
I think like a little bird, like a little penguin.
Also,
or
just like a piece of advice, make sure that, like, the images that you select to put full screen are not, like, 480p. You should get higher resolution images if you're going to make them this big on screen.
Well, I don't know why
drawing
he's
them from the
bothering.
episodes.
What's
I don't know
the
why
point?
they would be low. You know,
I don't know why they're so like low quality. Yeah. Why is it so pixelated?
I don't know.
Well, he's done he's made the mistake of giving himself a lot of unnecessary work that looks terrible. So it's worse than wasting your time. It's time spent actively making your video.
I like the visual reference, right? It helps me follow the narrative. Okay, I'm getting confused otherwise.
Start with this. I found the backstory in episode 3 to be pretty compelling. The dilemma a community goes through when it has to give up a child to the Jedi is really rich material, and I think worth exploring.
We didn't get to do that.
We didn't explore it either. We didn't get anything on it.
Like, I'd love to know what's rich about it.
We went right up to the actual decision being made. We didn't get there.
Yes.
We had the girl
no
wanted to,
discussion.
The other girl didn't, and the mum was like, "No, you shouldn't." But you know what? I'll try and make it work. And then they all died.
Yeah, we didn't actually address anything. No one had any conversations. There wasn't any back and forth about really anything substantive.
Remember, we got about as far as exploring the Jedi are evil. No, they're not. They're good. Okay,
bye.
Kill you.
Yeah, that's about it. Like, all right. Like, I think it's a joke that anyone would consider this an interesting exploration of the Jedi, like kidnapping kids or you know, dragging them away from their families. Like, we did not get that story. Who knows? If all that's going to happen in the super flashback episode is just they have a big fight and everyone dies, I don't think that's an interesting exploration of the Jedi at all. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see what they do.
Exploring. In that way, this episode felt like a live-action version of a Star Wars Visions episode, for example. And I appreciated how the show encouraged the audience to see both sides of the argument.
Both sides of the argument.
There aren't arguments. There were no arguments. They don't discuss anything. I am no closer to understanding the Jedi now than I was before this episode.
We get Sol letting her play with a lightsaber like a fucking idiot, and then she starts torturing Torbin. How is this an interesting back and forth where we understand both sides?
These people, they invent stuff.
The closest thing you could get to an understanding is informed by like other content. Like you might refer to KOTOR and why the Jedi are like why the Jedi go looking for Force-sensitive people. You'd have to explain that through KOTOR because you're not getting anything from the Acolyte to explain why they might want to do that.
We are getting that, but with additional incompetence, which is always nice to see. I like the bit where the Jedi all walk into this very obviously inhabited fortress and then say, "Oh, sorry, we thought no one was home." That's good. I like it.
I hope they give us. I was going to say make that make sense. I was like, why would I ever assume that? It's so fucked.
No.
They're trying to do a bit of that in episode 5 as well. And Jodie Turner-Smith was excellent. That said, it's...
come on.
But
I mean,
why?
she was fine, I guess.
Was it the power of one scene that made you think that?
She wasn't distractingly bad. The story and the characters were that, but not the acting, I suppose.
Climax felt a little bit rushed and made it...
Oh, yeah? Really?
It felt a little bit rushed.
It's funny how it's designed so that we're not supposed to understand it fully, and that's the best you can come up with. It's like, it seems a bit rushed. It's like there are literal scenes they've cut out. It should feel that way.
You're not supposed to understand it. It's meant to be retarded. You guys just don't. You're not media literate, okay?
Yeah, something 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Something. Also, I didn't think that Leah and Laura Brady, who played the younger versions of May and Osha, were very good. Episode 4 was the weakest of the series for me so far.
Picking on child actors.
They're trying to sell us on this thing.
Yeah, incredible.
By the way, this fucking little fella, the tracker, why do they hate just? Why do they just fucking hate?
His name is Basil Rags. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Why do they just fucking hate just scanning devices on their spaceships? Why do they just have to invent everything except just using a scanner?
Star Wars has this sense of aesthetic sensibility around it these days that doesn't want to really acknowledge the tech level. It wants to be some sort of weird space Wild West like adventure thing a lot of the time, and it doesn't want to think about the fact that there are laser guns and spaceships very much.
It's just so funny to me. They get on the planet, it's like, here, sniff this, like a canine. It's like, oh, okay, and then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sniff out the evil man. Or
to be clear, I would have done it. I would have done it way faster.
Yeah,
Second,
obviously.
The original trilogy. One thing I really liked, and even growing up when I was really young, I noticed this as a difference to other things. Like it's different from Star Trek. What the original trilogy had with the Star Wars universe was that the technology had this very analog kind of quality to it. You didn't really get these bright hologram displays like you have now. Everything's electronic in the terms of it. The bright lights, touch pads, things of that nature. Things had buttons and knobs, and not like that, not the Star Trek original series kind of buttons and knobs, but they had this tangibility, this analog quality to it. Yes, there was lasers, yes, there was life scanners and shields and stuff like that, but it all seemed to be connected to metal boxes and wires, tubes, hoses, like plates of steel and things of that nature. You could just reach out and touch it. It felt very real. And unfortunately, I think that as the years have gone on, this got translated into everything is I mean, someone said Wild Westy, and that's kind of a good way to describe it. It's like there's such a technology disparity everywhere you go that we see this in the presentation of pretty much every village we walk into is the same fucking one where everyone it's a bazaar with market stalls and fruit packed up and people wearing the same nondescript semi-tribal sort of outfit and garb. We've lost that Star Warsy feel where everything's like tangible and you could touch it. And
the towns were kind of empty. The towns are kind of empty and everything looks scavenged and G-rigged and put together. That was the difference. You know, you saw the economic difference.
When they were going to fire the it's been a while since I've seen it, but when they were going to fire the Death Star, they had the guys with the helmets and they were like click click, and they were like punching buttons, and you could feel the click of the button when they touched it. And they had that one that beam, not beam. They had that lever, and they would like slowly pull it down to imply it had a lot of weight to it. And you'd hear the noise as it was charging up. There's this physical touchability to all the technology and everything. And we had those visual dictionaries for the Star Wars stuff, and they had all the close-ups of the guns and everything. And it just felt like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I believe this is real. It's not too clean and sleek and perfect and sterile, which unfortunately I think a lot of the stuff in the prequels kind of was. But
the prequels were sterile, that's right. But then the Return of the Jedi starts going in for this sort of thing, which is we're moving away from any attempt to be relatively serious science fiction, and now it's cutesy animals because the kids will like that.
Oh, yes.
If you've got droids which run your prison ships, and yet you use a beaver to track things through forests, that's not quite as consistent as I think it used to be.
They just pull some fucking 10-year-old rag out of cold storage. I can't get over it. And they just hand it to their handy beaver they made up.
Master Kildaka left his socks here. It's okay. We can use these.
Do you guys have a weird Wookiee cult going on here where you all smell his socks? Is this like a weird Zack Snyder cameo?
He's
where
leaving.
You have to smell it?
He's leaving the Jedi Temple, and they're like, "Whoa! Before you go, can you just put this under your arms for a little bit, just like 5 minutes, and then give it back?" And he's like, "Why? Like, it's just in case we lose you, like so we can
Something that really stands out as being a great example of that is in Return of the Jedi, the speeder bikes. The speeder bikes are like that perfect kind of, it hovers and it goes fast, but when you look at it, it looks really not Mad Maxy or anything, but it looks like you could just hop on it, like it's a real thing, like you could go up to it and you could lick it and you'd know what it would feel like on your tongue, you know, and then it would make the noises and you go, yeah, it was just so real and relatable.
Kildaka, we need something with your sands on it. He pulls that out. And they go, "What is that?" He's like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know.
His jock strap.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's got my sand on it. That's what you need, right? And they're like, yeah.
Oh, he does the Zoolander thing where he reaches in and he pulls out his underwear.
No.
Appreciated some of the creature designs and how the jungle stuff felt very Scavenger's Reign. The episode was a lot of
what?
Oh, look how fake
the jungle stuff felt very Scavenger's Reign.
There was a bunch of people walking around, like, I don't understand. If we're just wandering around.
Endor felt like a real forest.
Set. Yeah, like this was a really obvious set with like fake shrubbery.
It just sucks. It's so crap.
Just go to the woods and turn your cameras on. You're Disney. Just go to the woods.
That could be dangerous, Rex. There could be bugs.
Good.
There's people outside.
Very wordy and kind of poorly performed dialogue, compounded by the fact that Amandla Stenberg is just so flat. For me,
damn.
Anything good to say, Jesus.
Racist.
This is a toxic fan right here.
her performance in both roles is the weak link of this series. And that's a big problem because the show rests on...
I was going to say, I don't disagree with
agree.
him,
She's a super flat actress, apparently. I don't know if she's being directed to be like this, but like...
The defense is that she doesn't really have a character to play. Like, she plays two different people, but while May has about 14 different iterations of who she is and what she wants, Osha doesn't really have any. And so, like, even a good actor would struggle, I think, to put much into this role because there's nothing to work with at all. I don't think she's very good in the role either, but I do think she's being let down by people above her.
I also kind of think that the big difference, especially when editing these, I mean, Free, you've definitely noticed, between her performance as May versus her performance as Osha is that she is much louder as May. She will do loud things.
Pretty much. She'll have like unhinged screaming at times, whereas Osha is like completely just bland.
And I'm just begging
like,
for that interview where she
boring.
says the difference between them is loud and quiet. That's how I played it.
She said it was like yin and yang, right?
Oh.
That was what she said about it, which is funny. But
I have heard those words.
Yep. Yep.
on her shoulders. There was also some inconsistency in the writing.
Oh no! Oh my god! Here we go. Let's do it.
God,
I'm excited.
Hey, you said you distanced yourself from the toxic stuff.
This is pretty.
Stop it.
This video is very toxic, I would say. Yeah, he's gotta be careful.
But he's saying the things that they say. Is he
The
one of
word
them?
"some" in his sentence, though, is doing so much heavy lifting. There is some inconsistency.
It is holding back the train in Spider-Man.
There's also some inconsistency in the writing. Yord says to Osha, "I've known you since we were younglings. May has always been your wound. But I thought that no one knew she had a twin." And then May's...
No, he thought she was dead, right?
Yeah, he thought she was dead.
So that's not an inconsistency.
The only slight
How did they miss?
potential inconsistency...
Well, no, wait. Wasn't
Every
there...
time.
Wasn't with X-23 they were going, they said she was never in the records?
That's inconsistent. So they know that she had a sister, but then they do say we didn't know she had a twin because the twin isn't in the record. So like it doesn't actually completely mesh up very easily.
I'd have to check the lines because
I spent too much time with the lines. He references her sister when they first meet. He references the sister before when they're on the ship heading to rescue her, and it's Yord, Jackie, and Squid Game. And Squid Game is talking about what Osha's backstory is, and Yord says, "I didn't know she had a twin." And then Jackie says, "It's not in her files." So it's not great, but...
So the way that makes sense is he believed she had a sister, but he didn't know that the sister was a twin?
That would be how I would read it.
All right.
But that seems like a really trivial thing to leave out as opposed to the sister generally. But
I figure they left it out because of the... I don't even want to get into how stupid the first episode... They're all stupid, but the fact that, like, you didn't tell us she had an identical twin? It's like, well, I saw her fall into an abyss. I figured she'd be dead. But it's like, oh, you're right, though. She's killing Jedi or something.
Well, isn't it weird that we brought this person into the Jedi Order and we didn't ask her questions like, do you have any brothers or sisters or mother, father? Do you have any other, like...
What was Soul's reason?
If anything happens to call someone?
She was dead. That's why he didn't want to enter her into the records, I guess.
Well, there's got to be something else going on, isn't there? Because like they are doing a bit of a cover up, and I think they are harking to the missing records and clones, for example, is to suggest that there is this conspiracy. They are keeping things back. The problem with that then is that as soon as say Greenbean learns that there's stuff that's been deleted from the record, she should be asking questions, which she doesn't start asking until 4. So
wouldn't Osha be a huge breach of that secrecy? Like she would have to know because she would just casually be like, "Yeah, they took me from a world where everyone died."
Yeah, everyone I ever knew as a child died when the Jedi
showed up. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
That's weird.
POV shift in the episode felt really abrupt, and the answer to the Sith mystery became very obvious by the end of episode 4, which is why I'm glad they revealed it pretty quickly in episode 5. Episode 5, honestly, is exactly what I want.
They revealed it quickly in the 5th episode. Okay.
Yeah, how was that 5 out of 8?
I guess within the 5th episode. Yeah.
Maybe his helmet came off fast.
This helmet, dude, it's just
terrible. It's awful.
It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Hey, they're selling it on HasLab for $99.
Of course.
It's for 12-year-olds who have $100 of disposable income that they could buy helmets with.
I just can't understand it. Someone thought this was a good idea in terms of visual design. It's because they're trying to make him creepy.
He's even more edgier. Yeah, like it gets worse and worse as more time goes on. Like Vader ruined everything. He ruined that guy.
According to Ryan, so this is I forgot the name of the metal and I don't care. But it's a difficult metal to forge. And it's brittle, but they took the time to cut a smile in it and then put little bling teeth in it. That's nice.
That's great. Where that wasn't part of the original construction because it looks very worn and beaten, but that's a level of charitability I'm not sure I'm willing to extend.
Oh no, I'm sure it coincidentally ended up looking this way because of all kinds of things.
What happens if you mix this one with Frigg?
Ooh. Be careful, you could break the whole Star
I think
Wars
you just
universe.
Instantly kill Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like wherever he is, like you do that and it just breaks the code somewhere and he just explodes.
Honestly, is exactly what I want out of Star Wars. The dueling and fight choreography throughout the entire episode was spectacular. The villain is
you need to watch more movies, man. Like I don't know what to say. You need to just fucking watch
the Raid. I think better than Disney Star Wars typically, yes, but is it better than the Phantom Menace? No.
What we've learned is that lightsaber fights need to score at around at least 3 range, and then they'll be fine because the colors take care of the rest. As long as you get enough going, it's like, yeah, that's fine. It looks great now because of the colors. The colors are so fucking awesome.
I can't believe that they actually promised that it was going to be as good as the Phantom Menace when it's like, yeah, sorry, I don't know that anything to this day has come close to when Obi-Wan.
They need to stop doing that. They need to stop overhyping themselves. Just don't do it. Just shut the fuck up and let it show.
Plus, they've seen no movies prior to 20 years ago.
And also, I don't know how. Something I noticed is when you watch the fights, what you'll notice is that the camera is generally behind Sol or Jackie. Like you can't see their face because I presume that they got someone else to do those fights. Part of what makes it impressive in the prequels is that the actors did the fights. That makes it really. That's something
they are intense battles. They are sweating.
Yeah, and that's really cool, and that adds on. So, like, when you say, "Well, it's going to be so impressive," but the actors aren't doing it, I mean, already that kind of like isn't as cool. And so then when it's not even as good anyway.
No, and it's a completely deracinated idea of what choreography is anyway, because choreography isn't just supposed to be, they can move really fast and it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's like saying like ballet is just flips for the sake of flipping and spins for the sake of spinning. That's sort of not the point. Like choreography is purposive. It is an artistic medium. It is supposed to tell you things about the characters involved in the fight. It's supposed to tell you things about the story that they are all wrapped up in. And if anything, the Acolyte's fight scene does the opposite of that, because it tells us that a Padawan in Jeki, who can't be trusted to train with lightsabers, is better with a lightsaber than 15 Jedi Knights who he massacres previously, which he shouldn't be. So there's no character, there's no backstory sort of going into the choreography at all. It is just, it moves quickly, and some of the individual sort of like fight stances look impressive, but that's basically it. That's as deep as it goes, and that's not impressive. When you compare it to the story behind the choreography for the prequels and the reasons those things were done and the philosophy that went into defining the fight styles for the different characters, it's just that they are different art forms entirely, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's even as simple as the part where in the fight with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul where he does the flip and then like taunts Obi-Wan, even as simple as that, like doing the big somersault and then mocking him. It's like, hey, nice character, even a little bit.
It's a really frustrating, almost lost art at this point, in a lot of cases where the most communicative content in an Acolyte fight, or even a lot of modern fights, especially in Star Wars, is whoever's pushing who back. Like, that's the best they can do in terms of conveying something in terms of what's going on in the fight narrative. The person who is pushing the other person around is winning. There's no difference in their motions that can convey some difference in how they behave in a fight or how they fight. It's just someone's moving forward while the other's backpedaling. The one who's backpedaling is losing.
And also just that a character could just sort of randomly win out of nowhere. Because, I mean, it's as was pointed out, like, Jackie should not have done as well as she did. But basically, like, it didn't actually matter how well she was doing. It was just once they decided, no, he's going to grab his second lightsaber, then it's over. And it's the same with Yord as well. It's like, well, we just decide, like, he does this little spin and then that's it for Yord. Like, it's not like a character is gradually, I mean, you talk about, you know, like Luke and Darth Vader, right? The whole point of that is that he's getting worn down right until the end. Like, it's obvious who's winning compared to just, well, it's fighting. Oh, you win. Okay. Like, you just win, I guess.
Yeah, just the rest of the fight just feel like noise.
Exactly.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, when, you know, Indy's fighting the Nazis at that plane, you know, in the desert, and he's just like getting really worn out and he's tired to the point where he's on the ground and he's saying, like, give me a second, I'll get up, just give me a second. All of the, like, combat doesn't mean that you completely remove a character's personality, backstory, training, style, all of the little mannerisms that make a person. Those things will come out in the way that they interact with other people, whether it's, you know, obviously dialogue and just the way that they, you know, the way that they fight and everything. But when I see stuff like this, like it's in the Acolyte, it seems like the people who make it think that combat is completely separate from the character. All right, let's bring in some new actors. They'll do all the things, and then once they're done, all right, we'll bring in the actors again, and then they can do whatever, instead of making the character a part of their own actions. It's like this weird compartmentalization. Like, oh, combat has started. This is no longer a person. This is a prop swinging around a light stick. And then that's that. And then the plot happens, and then we can go back to the other mode.
Combat themed interpretive dance. That's what it turns into. And it's not, if you want to see a spectacular sword fight, it's from The Court Jester with Danny Kaye. It's got Basil Rathbone. Basil Rathbone was a real sword fighter, and it's freaking spectacular. It's a great movie too, by the way.
Another angle people always want to analyze from is going to be the emotional stakes for the conflict in the characters. It's like nobody knows who this guy is. So
yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess he doesn't like the Jedi because of something.
That doesn't mean the fight can't be interesting. I'm just saying there's nothing to draw from with that angle. So it's like we have to try something else. You know, what else we got? It's like, well, how well did they do with incorporating the environment? Well, not
they
much.
Cut trees.
Some trees got cut,
but it wasn't even
fell the wrong way.
Yeah, that was like that was like between fights as well. It wasn't even, you know.
Well, remember in the, I will give a little bit of praise, a little tiny bit of praise to Ahsoka. You had the guy, the who's the big guy, the big old man, the actor passed away. Balin, that's it. When he fought, he had this sort of distinct way of moving.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like that's different. You are distinctly different from other people. And I can believe that based off of who you are, and that you might have, you split from the Jedi, or you had your own style, or the way that you fight and move is not the same as everyone else. You're not just completely interchangeable with all the other people around you. That was like, oh, like that's mildly interesting. And in the Phantom Menace, when they meet Darth Maul at the beginning in the hangar, and he uses the Force to flick a piece of battle droid on the door panel so it opens the door so they can go through. Like, what we need to be seeing that. We need to be seeing that all the time. Like I've said, telekinesis is telekinesis is your primary ability. The lightsaber's there in case they get too close, I feel. But we need to be using the environment. We need to be kicking up dust. We need to be throwing shit at other people. We need to be having rocks getting picked up and chucked. They had this fight take place in a jungle, but there's nothing jungly about. Like, take the Predator, right? The first Predator movie. Like, that is such a jungle movie. You know, if that took place anywhere else, it would just be a different movie. So much of that plays into the story with trying to find this guy, someone being hunted, them shooting into the foliage, not knowing where this thing is that's coming after them. They play so strongly into the environment. And that doesn't happen in the Acolyte.
No, that's what I mean. I think we've now gone over just how much they haven't taken any advantage of almost every single aspect of choreography outside of, you know, sometimes he throws a couple of moves in a row on a single shot, and there's dodges that look like they're about accurate. Like, okay.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, sometimes they pull out, and it's like, I feel like our standard should be a little bit higher.
Well,
just at least a little bit higher. But then even if we're just saying, well, on a couple of technical grounds, it's above the rest of the shows, there are also a couple of technical grounds in which it falls way below the other shows that even Disney's put out, like having characters teleport in and out of existence. And then keeping them out of scenes, because if they were in the scenes, then it wouldn't work the way they wanted it to. The way like Jackie jump kicking from fucking nowhere, and having then later seen how good she is in the fight, realizing that how much better the fight would have gone for the Jedi had she not disappeared for all of that time. And then Squid Game later on also disappears out of the scene for ages, and then comes back when it's convenient for him to do so. Like. Technical
he's seemingly
stuff
the only one
too, right?
that has the ability to defeat Smiler Ren, and so it's like so convenient. He's just gone for so long while everyone gets killed, and then he watches the remaining 2 die. Oh, that was so annoying. So crap.
Inaction is character as well, unfortunately.
Yep.
Spectacular. The villain is a badass and gave us 2 truly shocking moments.
Oh, and it's gonna just be the 2 times he killed a person. That's
whoa. He's badass. He's so badass.
He is cringe.
One other thing I find
normalized cringe as this man.
It's really strange that if he hates the Jedi so much, he kills them with this unfeeling, almost like apathy. Like he takes no joy or pleasure or catharsis in killing them. It's just so mechanical and uninteresting when he supposedly has these very deep reasons. Like Mallard mentioned, Darth Maul, when he had Obi-Wan on the ropes there when he was dangling and he was doing the sparks and everything, is like, haha, you suck. Like that's like, he hates the Jedi.
He does have his little, like, Joker smiles when his mask comes off, because he wants to pretend to be unhinged and stuff. The Smiler Ren. When he's, like, locked up with, I forget if there's dialogue for it. Someone you might remember, but... because Soul is like, oh, roar, you're mean. And then he was like, yeah, I'm pretty mean.
I am actually mean, yes.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
I was going to say
normalizing Shadow the Hedgehog as what we want out of our Sith. I think we can do a bit better.
Yeah, he kills Jackie.
And that performance...
You killed her. Is that what it was called? Ooh, edgy line. I like it. Very, very good.
Reveal.
Why didn't you introduce that idea earlier, Like...
And even his motives at that point, I think as Rags mentioned as well, but like they do kind of fall apart really quickly, because they do have that brief conversation about why he's here, killing everyone. And he's like, well, May betrayed me and risked me being exposed, so now I have to kill everybody here. But episode 2 establishes that May doesn't know who you are. So if you hadn't turned up and started killing all of these Jedi, then you probably would be less exposed than you are now, having killed all of the Jedi. And if your goal was always to kill her and leave, then why are you holding her hostage? And if your goal was always to kill her and the rest of the Jedi, then why are you holding her hostage to talk to the Jedi rather than just killing everybody, which you're very capable of doing? You're just inviting this to go wrong for you, because that's what the show needs to happen. But
they think the galaxy is 17 rooms, so you can't just go off and live a life and just be normal. You can't do that. You have to act as if, they won't leave me alone. Like, what? They're tracking you down wherever you go. Just live a normal life. They'll never know.
Existed until you turned up on this
until
planet.
you did the inciting incident of the show, which is tell some chick that you trained to go and murder Jedi.
Yeah, that's just been a fucking failure.
That'll get them snooping around and poking about, looking for who you are.
It is funny though, right? I don't want anything to do with the Jedi. You guys ruin everything. Anyway, my Acolyte, go and kill the Jedi.
Go kill Trinity.
Okay.
And go kill Trinity in a very crowded establishment.
With no weapons.
To rest upon the assumption that his existence is made very difficult by the Jedi existing, which, there's plentiful ways for that to make sense, but we don't see any of them. So what's even the point?
This thing is going to be that episode where they make them ridiculous and kill everybody or whatever.
Yep.
Have we gotten anything on the whole you can't use a weapon to kill him? Did that ever come out to anything?
They just said that again, right?
Considering that he killed most of them with his lightsaber, so
Yeah, because at this point, I'm wondering, they might literally just forget that was set up to be this very important.
Well, remember he asked about it in episode 4.
I can't have forgotten. They've mentioned it too often for even for a show as stupid as this. It's
probably going to be a flashback episode and it's going to explain it for some reason.
It'll probably be really stupid. But I imagine that they're going to address it at some point.
My vague guess at it would be, I think there's some backstory for the Sith where to get their own lightsaber, they have to take one from a Jedi and use that to kill them. And we've seen her trying to grab lightsabers, and that was what Timo as a Kaimir suggests she does before we learn, or well, we already knew, before it is revealed that he is Smilo. He suggests to her, hey, what about taking one of their weapons? Does that count? So it's a vague guess, but I think it might be something like that. You have to steal a Jedi's lightsaber and use that to kill one to become a true Sith acolyte. And even though the lightsaber is red, and that's a specific dark side ritual that only really the Sith do, that will still confuse the Jedi because they don't read history and they don't know what that is.
Also, in retrospect, what a stupid fucking plan to go after Indara with no weapons first. She could easily have captured her instantly.
I mean, yeah, she's a Jedi master.
Taking it back to Coruscant, they get into her head hardcore, and they're like, "So there's a Sith running around." Just there you go, like that simply. Then Smiler Red would be like, "Wow, I have to kill all of you now."
Yeah,
like go kill the one in a bubble who just sleeps all day or whatever. Like if you let's start off easy, right? If you can get him to drink poison or whatever, then we'll talk about the rest.
By the way, chat, I hope you guys all understand that they will come for the Old Republic soon enough. Okay, they cannot resist the idea of 1,000 Jedi running and 1,000 Sith lightsabers. They cannot resist.
We said they were coming for Thrawn for unironically about 4.5 years, and then they finally did.
Yeah. They'll do the Old Republic and they're going to ruin it. They will ruin it. And they will probably make it so that Knights of the Old Republic, they'll probably decanonize aspects of that story in doing so as well.
I hope you're ready for Revan. I hope you KOTOR fans are ready for Revan.
Yeah, she's going to be amazing.
Revanina.
Really shocking moments, and that performance was also incredible. I just really appreciated the show.
But why?
It was edgy.
Incredible.
It was edgy. It was channeling Shadow the Hedgehog energy.
It was flat and edgy. It was very uninspired and dull.
He might as well have said kid at some point. Like,
dude, that
teleports behind
screenshot. That screenshot does not help it at all.
No,
dude, it's so funny when he grabbed Soul's lightsaber and headbutted it. That shit is hilarious.
This is a screenshot of a photo from a computer screen taken by a phone from across the room.
From a toaster.
Yeah.
This is
my
Mazda's key fob can take better pictures than this.
Dude, this show thought it was so cool. They thought it was so cool when he grabbed the second dude and pulled him into the lightsaber and then locked their heads off. They thought, oh yeah, that was so cool. Never mind why he allowed that to happen to himself, but so
what do they
cool.
teach you in that Jedi Academy? Nothing, I guess.
Teach you about the ocean and fire.
Yeah.
Show for not pulling its punches here. I'm also digging how the Acolyte is echoing the prequels by interrogating the dogma of the Jedi. I'm still finding
Is it all? We haven't
no
learned
dogma.
anything about the Jedi. We've learned nothing about them.
Like, not only is there no critique, but there's no philosophy to critique. There's nothing.
They're just a bunch of assholes in the jungle.
Imagine like two people just burst into your house and started pointing at each other and saying, that guy's the evil one. No, he's the evil one. That's what we've got here.
We were exploring their philosophy, Theo. Yes.
I don't know that we were.
Yeah, and just like the Acolyte, just want them out of my house.
I mean, Kaimir's speech isn't particularly interesting to me. It's like, I want to do Sith stuff, but the Jedi are mean and they make it so I can't, so now I have to kill all of you. I'm just sitting here like, oh, okay.
So deep.
It's so edgy. Like,
so
I
edgy.
guess I have to go on a murderous rampage.
So complex.
What a bother.
Truly.
We'll get something about it probably in the next episode. I mean, it was so easy to call coming anyway. I think I actually put this in the end of my episode 4 video. But it's like, obviously, Osha will somehow end up with Smilo, and May will somehow end up with the Jedi, and Smilo will tell Osha what really happened on her homeworld. And like, that's the place when they'll try and launch this critique of the Jedi as creating effectively evil amongst the dark side by their rigid and dogmatic views. The problem is, though, the closest we've had to interrogating any philosophy so far is the episode 3 stuff about the thread. And that is just empty. So I don't have any confidence in them actually doing something with this.
It's just like it's one group using a metaphor and another group using a different metaphor for things that we can't tie to anything else. So it's we got nothing. I got nothing.
Imagery doesn't tend to stand on its own. It needs to, it ties to something. It is used to demonstrate something about a worldview or an idea, or make it easier to communicate.
You explain things based off of things you already know.
Imagine you're an ocean.
Yes, we don't know anything.
Imagine you're a droplet in that ocean. Imagine you were the droplet the whole time in the ocean that you were. Fire. Yeah, they
Imagine
just
firing the ocean.
Once that scene is over, it's like, there we go. Now we can do anything else.
Lee Jung Jae's soul.
We have done philosophy.
Yes.
Really compelling character and performance, and I'm interested to see the reveal that's coming for him. The Acolyte is far from perfect, but enough of it is working for me to keep going.
Well,
you were going to say that no matter what.
I just, it's, I guess it was a fair and balanced review because he said the good stuff was the fights and the performances sometimes. And
spectacular.
I mean, it's just interesting how much work audience members end up having to do for these shows anyway. As in, like, oh wow, that was a great exploration of the philosophy of the dogmatic view of the Jedi, and you're just sitting there like, what are you referencing?
No.
So this is a reminder, okay? Because the next character in this selection we've come across before.
The Fleam Brigade.
Yes, and I'm going to show us where we first came across this character in the Fleam Brigade.
The Fleam of Schlurpo.
This is from, I don't remember what episode of Mando this was, and I put this in here. So it's, yeah. You ready, Rex?
One thing about Slave 1 is I noticed in the Rogue Squadron games, it's really easy. No, fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys. That seems like a waste.
Yeah, pretty intense waste, but whatever.
2 ships, yeah.
And plus the precision.
Yeah, well, whatever.
The 2 ships have to be in a, right there and right there, and they have to see that thing coming and not do anything about it.
It's like, how do you still?
So this fella, he's got some opinions to share. You guys ready?
Bausch and Shad.
I'm sure.
That's an unlikely team up.
But why do you like that? Because I don't engage with the.
Oh, sorry. I should roll him back a bit because he starts straight away.
Okay.
Who is this?
It doesn't really
There's a net above their head that's got robots in it. Think about it.
It's like, how do you still like stuff? You like everything. Why do you like that? Because I don't engage with the feedback on the internet. Like.
So he answers the question, why do you like everything to do with Star Wars? And his answer was, because I don't engage with feedback on the internet.
Why are you still a Christian? Oh, because I don't watch I don't watch any religion debates.
I don't even talk to
any people from any other religions.
Is that just admitting you never want to explore any other point of view than your own?
I know.
Pretty much.
Yes. I know if I hear the arguments, I might change my mind. So
I can understand the idea, right?
I can understand the idea of being skeptical of internet discourse, like, sure, but the idea that there's nothing of value ever said by the millions upon millions of people screeching their opinions into the void, I don't know.
Like, I generally don't. I hang out with you, with my friends, we have like that in-person experience.
I have a feeling that I'm just sort of looking at this set and all of the construction that went into making this Star Wars themed set, and it makes me wonder how much of you can afford to not like Star Wars. There's that element of you've hitched your wagon to this very strongly, as evidenced by this production I see. So
and just to clarify, if the question were reflected on us, how can you afford to like Star Wars? We're like, yep, Andor. We did a whole bunch of stuff on that.
Mm-hmm. Love Andor. We like the original trilogy. We even like the prequels, the goobery movies that they are.
So it's easy for us. We'll just take them as they come. We don't go. We go in hating it, and then we don't check what anyone's saying, so that we can maintain our hatred. Totally fine when you do it in the positive direction.
Boring, insufferable sap do you have to be to say, oh no, my default position is that I love absolutely everything? It's so tedious. Like, there's that old line about it's better to be a pig. No, sorry, it's better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. Sort of advertising himself as the satisfied pig precisely because he doesn't critically engage with anything. What does he have to talk about? Like, doesn't it just get really tedious if you're just saying, oh, it wasn't that good? Yeah. Wasn't that good? Yeah. Wasn't that good? Yeah. Wasn't that good?
Well, you like the seismic charge from the Slave 1, so that was Oh, sorry.
Well,
I didn't mean to see Slave One. I'm sorry.
Fire spray, right?
Yeah.
Or Boba Fett's ship. Is that what it's called?
I wouldn't want to upset anybody by calling it Slave One. So it's fire spray.
If you really like this stuff, then just don't even talk about the discourse. Like you wouldn't be aware of it. If you don't engage in it and you're not part of it, then you're not aware of it. And just tell us why you like it, how much you like it, do all that. But that always gets brought up. I don't pay attention to all this stuff. I completely pay attention to all the fucking time. And now I'm going to tell you why I disagree. Whatever.
Look, all right, it's life. It's like what's the name said about the show, the yin and the yang. All right, look, the good and the bad. All right, the duality of existence. You know, how are you going to appreciate the good if there is no such thing as bad? What does it mean to be good? You know, all that. I mean, I like
so cool
philosophy.
It's so cool to take yin yang and just make it good bad. It's so funny to me.
No, I know, I love it. That's what it means, right?
That's certainly what those concepts are on about. Goodness and badness.
Goodness and
like I said, it refers to loud and quiet, and people are just figuring that out, so it's okay.
And then I usually don't engage with it, other than it's like rewatching it on my own. Every once in a while, I'll be like, well, with some other reactors, what did they say? That type of thing. But
yes, every once in a while.
Acolyte,
I bet the ones that you watch.
You should watch EFAP reactions.
Get a fresh new perspective on how much these shows are well constructed, and definitely will stand the test of time.
Just the fan response has just been so vile and full of contempt.
Interesting.
I wonder why.
Why would that be? What happened? What happened?
It feels like asking a flip reverse. I'd be like, what's the equivalent on the love side of vile? Because he says full of contempt. It's like, so what would be the reverse? Because it should be possible.
Adoration?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? They're like, yeah, that's a good thing, though. You're like, no. No, I mean, like, what is toxic love? What is
things?
Love bombing? What is there needs to be words.
Why can't you just let people hate things, man?
Being a hater is fucking fun.
Like, I just want to sit over here with all my friends and hate Star Wars every week for profit, all right? I just leave us alone, okay?
Like, if someone said toxic adoration, I think people are like, toxic adoration?
That's like stalking.
Yeah, I mean,
it exists. It's the real thing.
I mean, it is. If he just defines it as like vile, right? It's like, oh well, do you think that there's really not many people out there who have substantive criticisms of the Acolyte or other Star Wars shows, Disney Star Wars shows?
Are you saying this guy needs a restraining order from Star Wars?
Well,
he's watching it sleep at night.
It's worth mentioning a lot of these broad criticisms are made by people who don't even watch the fucking videos. It does, because we're watching these directly. I'm just saying, like, have you actually watched them, or are you just saying it's vile because there's articles and Twitter posts about how it's vile and horrible?
It seems like it's probably going to be Twitter posts like, this is the downfall of stuff. He's like, I don't want to do this. I want to watch the fun show or whatever. And it's like, yeah, as Gary already said, just don't mention it then. Just talk about why you like the things.
Yeah, you don't need to talk about
it's funny because then
they
say
people.
they don't care for the feedback on the internet, but him talking about this definitely comes from the feedback that he got from the internet of his fan base, right? Like that's probably where it came from. So I guess he does pay attention to something.
He definitely pays attention. He definitely does. If he didn't pay attention, he would never brought it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can understand if you're a person that I just haven't liked Disney stuff for a long time. Now it's come to a head.
Okay. There you go.
There you go. All right. That's us.
I'm not fond of a lot of Disney stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. Pretty bad track record.
I get that, but like some of the things that are being brought up as of like objective facts, like this thing breaks canon, like it doesn't.
Oh,
what thing? Tell us.
But this is just an entirely different thing. This is just you disagree.
Well, also, to be clear,
he said the playing field.
He said it doesn't break canon, not who cares if it breaks canon.
Yeah.
So he is defending he's defending the idea of they are wrong in their criticism because their criticism is incorrect. Not, I do not care about that criticism.
He has stepped up to bat, so to speak. Like he's in the ring now.
Yeah, he said you're wrong.
Well, yeah, we need to teach him about. He's confused. He thinks it's vile contempt. Evildoers online saying things, and it's like, no. They have a point of view. You have a point of view. and they're different points of view. That's all that's happening. Okay.
Yeah. And it's because they care. That's the audience you paid for. Ki-Adi-Mundi, they had to rush and change his backstory. Now, it turns out that he had a shortened life. I didn't know this. I didn't care. That he had a shortened lifespan. And the reason was interesting that he got an exemption with the Jedi to go out and bang women. He had 3 wives.
Well, yeah, all of
that. To keep perpetuating his race because the males didn't live as long. And then they just changed all that. That's changing canon. Yep.
No, it doesn't. I don't know how to, like, kindly say that without being, like, insulting.
Sure. Well, no, you can just say it's wrong for these reasons.
Yeah, you just say easy.
You can just say it's wrong for these reasons.
That sounds like you're really angry about this.
Yeah, you sound pretty vile, dude.
Yeah.
It's actually remarkably easy to have like normal conversations online. It is really easy when you just talk about the subject at hand without getting into all of this annoying, insufferable fucking.
I do that with people all the time. I call them my friends even.
I know, right?
Just
insane.
People like crazy. Human beings have conversations. It's really not that difficult.
Well, like with the Sith, right? So it's not the argument on whether or not they existed. It's, are the Jedi aware of them?
Yeah.
And then you have to make us believe that they're not aware of them. Although dozens of Jedi just fought a Sith, a guy with a red lightsaber that maybe one of the people paid attention in history class and went, oh shit, that guy looks like a Sith. And they get on their little communicator, or they do something to record that knowledge. That would be pretty effing important.
But that doesn't happen. That's like the first thing in the next episode that has to happen, because Squid Game is now back on the ship, and the first thing he has to do is to radio Greenbean and say, hey, by the way, we just fought a guy who called himself a Sith.
Yeah, he said explicitly that we would call him a Sith. So, just put that out there.
A bunch of Jedi have fucking died, so this isn't going away easily.
No, you're right.
You know? Okay. It feels like you're just looking for problems. Like, I personally...
I'm sorry our brains work and we notice things.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
you're looking for solutions, and you find them everywhere when you're not actually finding them. How about that?
Don't go into art looking for problems. I go into art to have...
They're just evident. We just notice them.
Yeah. Who is this apparent person, like the fucking critic from Ratatouille, who goes to every film like with their little notepad, like...
To be fair, Anton Ego looks like the opposite human being of this person does. So that's
I guess so. Like, these people don't exist. Things jump out at you. You notice them.
I don't choose what I do and don't notice. It's literally not my decision. It happens.
Disbelief. If it snaps, it snaps. It snaps at different places for different people, depending on, I guess, how lenient or harsh they may be, or their particular knowledge about a given subject matter. But everybody has a line that eventually will just get crossed, and you don't decide when a story breaks your immersion or your suspension of disbelief.
To extend like an olive branch, I guess, the amount of you've been burned by a studio before will inform your willingness to give them a shot, right? Which informs your charitability towards the thing you're watching. So when someone with a track record like Disney starts putting something that gives you things that require explanation, you're not exactly confident that you're going to get satisfying answers. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Let me give
you have no trust that these people are going to satisfy your concerns.
Let's go with a strong example. One of the, Jedi gets fucking stabbed with a lightsaber and he falls to the ground. We're all going, well, he'll be okay, right? And then someone will be like, wow, you're just trying to bitch about the fact that Sabine didn't die. And I'm like, no.
It's just pattern recognition.
Do you want me to take it seriously? If you want me to take this stupid ass show seriously, then my brain is telling me more times than less people survive this shit, so I should assume that guy is fine.
I actually called it out for praise in the script for the episode 5 review. It's like, hey, they got stabbed and they died. This is a good thing that they've done correctly.
Absolutely nuts.
It needs to be said, but that's the state we are now in.
I've seen people say that
they got stabbed and they died. This is a good thing.
This is a good thing.
I've seen people say that Smilo watched Ahsoka, and so he's like, I got a triple stab and neck break. I can't be just single stab it. It's not going to work.
You want to get people like this to legitimately answer the question, why has so much changed? How come the attitude for Star Wars has shifted so dramatically?
They always say it's money.
Into the negative.
They always say it's money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, but just to be clear, we're not the people here with these
for reference,
fancy Star Wars themed sets.
Theory put out a video recently addressing that criticism, and he said from a first-hand account that he made a lot more money when Star Wars was good, and he was celebrating it with everybody.
Of course, you have a vested interest in keeping your thing alive and healthy and well. It's like, what happens when you have a channel that's devoted to a franchise, an IP, a specific video game, a specific whatever it is, and it starts to, like, what do you think happened to all the Halo YouTubers? What do you think happened to all of these other YouTubers that had hitched their wagons, so to speak, to this thing, and it starts going downhill? Well, like, oh shit, that's not good. They want that thing to be healthy and to thrive and be praised and to be positive and constantly generate more.
How happy are the Game of Thrones YouTubers?
I'm sure they were thrilled. Yeah.
Well,
Gary, the
fucking
fucking
yeah.
The several YouTubers I was following when the season 8 was coming out, where they had to review like 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could just tell listening to them. They were like, "So this happens, and this references this, and." What the losing their minds, and then House of the Dragon comes along and they gasp. They're like, "Oh my god, could it be?"
Oh, thank God, my prayers have been answered.
We're finally back.
Have an experience.
Sure, you don't look at a painting and be like, "I think they used the wrong brush here."
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Actually, yes.
Also, sometimes people might say that. It's terrible.
Have you ever been in an art class? Jesus,
there's nothing wrong with people saying it. Why are you saying there's something wrong with that?
It would be more like, I'm going to paint this realistic picture, and the sky is like purple with polka dots on it.
Yeah.
The grass is blue, and hamburgers eat people. And you're like, wait a second. Wait.
Sounds like a dream I had once.
I don't. This is not as you have described it to me.
Imagine the teacher was correcting a student's work, and the student was like, "You went into my work looking to hate it." He's like, "Okay, it's still shit."
Yeah,
but like, Yoda tells Luke, like, don't bring your weapons with you into the Cave of Evil. That's a bad idea. And Luke's like, bring them anyway, But because he brings them, he finds conflict.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with
You are kidding me, right?
Wait, is he trying to compare this
Yes.
to the you can't use What a fucking retard.
He's saying Yoda saying your weapons, you will not need them before going into the cave. Luke makes the mistake there that we all make going into Disney Star Wars with our blasters ready.
Vader wasn't actually in the cave.
Yeah.
Like, did that escape this guy?
Hey, maybe.
How do
He could have been in there.
Rags, media literacy is like, let me sit you down.
It hurts my brain. My brain.
Imagine this guy. He sees Vader around the corner. He's like, "Oh God, he's here."
What's Luke doing in the Darth Vader helmet?
Maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe when you're going to the cave where you're going to trip balls, it's not good to have a lightsaber. You might cut yourself. I don't fucking know.
Your loaded handguns, you will not need them.
Like, we're about to boot up the next episode of Acolyte with this guy. And he's like, "You guys aren't in hate mode, right?" Like, I'm just gonna take it for what it is, mate. Like,
maybe I am. Maybe I am in hate mode.
Because hating is fun. Hating is
can be very fun.
Stop pretending that it isn't.
Hating is fun. Hating is
it's very easy.
That example either. I've seen somebody else say, I think it was in reference to canon. It was like someone said, "Oh, you only lose what you take in with you," in reference to the Yoda scene. So, well, okay, if I take in canon with me, I lose that, do I?
Pretty much. With Disney, yeah.
Stupid argument. Also, the cave is there to teach you a lesson. That's sort of the point of the cave in the script, is that Luke takes in what he, fears, that is the conflict within him. This guy's approach is, no, go into the cave and you'll see absolutely nothing. That means you've got nothing going on. You're basically brain dead if you go into the cave and see nothing, which I imagine this guy probably would.
Yeah, I was going to say. That's probably accurate.
Soda.
I see a refrigerator.
A lot of people went in to this show with their blaster belts clipped in, being like, "I'm gonna go see what's wrong with this show," And it's just,
maybe I do feel a bit defensive.
We gave it the best fucking shot. It failed miserably from its first scene. It was terrible. Like, what do you want us to do? Lie?
Why do I feel the need to be strapped with a gat while I'm walking through Mos Eisley or whatever when I watch these shows? What do you think put us in that mood? I didn't used to feel like I had to go armed into these places that I once called home, but now I do. What happened?
It's pattern recognition. This is like the equivalent of one of those influencers that goes and visits ISIS, and just thinks, "Oh, nothing will happen. It'll be fine."
Listen, there's precedent, and we're pattern recognizers. What humans do.
There's not a lot. Like, as a viewer, like, you're required to bring your suspension of belief
No, that's
suspension of disbelief.
No.
My suspension of belief is already there. My belief is already suspended. We were there a long time ago, man.
Suspension of belief.
At least to say like, it's like going into a wrestling show and being like, "Hey, I think it's all fake." It's like, no,
it's not even close to that.
Yeah. Everyone knows wrestling is fake.
Well, but
that's why it's so wonderful and charming.
Well, I was just about to say, we know that movies and TV are fake. Everyone, like, why?
Wait, you telling me movies are fake?
This is what I mean. Like, he's like, you're supposed to. It's not even about that. That shit gets broken all on its own.
Mahler.
The equivalent to what he's saying would be like you watch, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, and you see someone cast a magic spell, and you're like, "Oh, that can't happen. That's not real."
Yeah, this isn't even relevant, honestly. The thing is, I'm plenty immersed into the shitty world of the Acolyte. I take it for what it is. I pay attention to its rules, and then I'm like, wow, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, he could have made... If I wasn't taking it seriously, someone could just be like, why are you... This isn't a real world, Mola. It's not a real thing. Like, why are you so immersed? Like, someone could make that argument if they wanted to, but... I love that he thinks that this is all solved by suspension of disbelief, as if we can all just turn it on at a whim. I've always hated that. Like, you have to earn it. You can't just make me switch it randomly.
We get immersed in bad stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what happens.
Madam Web was a journey, you know? I was gripped by Madam Web throughout, and when that Pepsi Cola sign landed on the villain, I felt that hit. I knew what was happening there was painful, but it was right.
I think a way of thinking about suspension of disbelief should be in terms of a relationship between a writer and a, viewer, reader, is that the viewer is already probably giving you a lot by accepting your story as being like a series of events that they're, treating as though it's, kind of real compared to, well, I know that this was written to evoke a bunch of feelings in me and it's all deliberately, orchestrated in that way. They're already giving you a lot to, like, especially if you're doing like science fiction or fantasy, they're already very much meeting you halfway. So at the same time, it's like, what's your job to, like you can't place the onus entirely on the viewer of like, well, just, that thing pisses you off. Just, don't let it don't do that. Just be happy, enjoy it. Like, never, ever, ever take any issue with anything that's being put on the screen.
Yeah, you're right.
This is not how you are constantly going to get conned and duped your entire life.
Because he's obviously disliked something in his life, and therefore he'd be like, why don't you just like everything? It would be nicer. It's a nicer world, isn't it? Just have suspend your disbelief, man. Pretend it's what you wanted. The famous line.
Pretend it's what you wanted. Yeah, there you go, yeah.
Suspend your belief.
It's a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Give yourself into it. It's a space fantasy show with wizards.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really...
It's wizards! We did it! We did it! Space fantasy with wizards.
It's like a bingo, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Yay, we did it.
Boo.
It's like bungo.
Why is it, just like very quickly, why is it that all of the people who apparently hate Star Wars hold Star Wars to higher standards than all of the people who say they love it? Like, why is this always the way it happens?
Like, do it with everything. How do we say that the thing, if we say that the thing was shitty all along, well, that's a strategy of a kind.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Like, oh, you think it's bad? Well, it was always bad.
It was always bad.
Suspend your belief.
Turns out they were convinced by our arguments that the Acolyte was shit. They're just like, yeah, I like shit. Look at the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Then we're like, hang on. When
I was growing up watching The Empire Strikes Back, little rags in front of the TV, well, in front of that loud ass CRTV Tubi business, I was like, man, I'm so glad this is shit, so I'll never be disappointed.
Yeah.
Just kind of have fun, not get super angry, and then go whine about it on the internet.
Oh, we are having fun.
You're whining about it on the internet right now.
I'm having tons of fun.
I don't mind people getting angry. Why can't people get angry over this? Why are they not allowed?
Bro, I fucking love whining on the internet. It's fun.
But professional.
What it's for?
Leads to anger.
Just enjoying that silence. Why aren't we allowed to be angry? Tell me.
Because angry is perceived as bad.
Don't be
it's
angry.
Always just
angry means
angry.
passion. I'll take anger. Anger means you feel something. That's the start.
Yeah.
You're too old.
I know.
To be angry.
Maybe they're afraid like, oh, if we're all angry at it, maybe it just goes away forever and ever, and we'll never get it back. So we have to be positive, so we at least get those breadcrumbs of poop on the floor.
I've always loved that argument. Like, the more negative you are, the more likely Disney won't even make Star Wars anymore. And you're like, oh no,
hell yeah. Oh no. Maybe if you wouldn't have been so nice all the time, they would have made something better by now that is also Star Wars. That's a crazy idea right there. But I don't know, it's always this positive.
I wouldn't flip it around.
It just doesn't go anywhere. It's just annoying. And obviously, it's not working like in a broader sense in like the mainstream, because everything is just going down. Like everything's going down. Yeah. Money, viewership, everything.
From where I'm sitting, rewind, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and the perception of Marvel and Star Wars was way better than it is now. It's significantly dropped, even in. I mean, every year, you know, like we were a little surprised with the Acolyte. It felt like everybody agreed this one was shit, and what we've got left for the people who like it are basically saying, it's fine, it's fine. The 5th episode was okay.
Is it?
No.
But if that's how it makes you feel, I have to confront the way that criticism makes me feel. You know, but. I'm trying to like make my peace with it, because last night looking through some stuff, which is the first time I've ever looked through like some Star Wars like internet stuff in a long time, it just kind of confirmed to me like, oh yeah, it's a real good idea that I don't do this.
Sure.
Okay.
Because people said mean words, or
I might never do it again.
He discovered standards.
There's definitely a lot.
He discovered there's people with different opinions, and he's like, wait a second.
Out there, terrible. And like. I know some people too that like they were real big Star Wars fans, and more and more in the Disney era, they're kind of like, you know what? I don't think I'm a Star Wars fan anymore. I like Star Wars, but I don't think I'm a fan. And I'm like, I think that's fine. If you've grown out of it, I suppose, or if
I don't like
is that what they said? Or
well, of course I grew out of it if it's meant for 12-year-olds.
It puts it all on the person who's like lost interest. It's like, we'll see, something about you has changed. It's not that anything about the media has changed.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not that people have grown out of it. It's that they're tired of getting shit constantly delivered to their door.
How come I haven't? Yeah, I haven't grown out of the original trilogy.
Thanks
for you reminded me of. We were discussing this on Open Bar. How sad it is when you find out like the whole OT thing. They'll be like, "Oh, you still like the OT as well, even though that's like," and you're like, "Oh God, what did you like the OT for? What did you think the OT was good at?" Like. You start to worry, like, we didn't like it for the same reasons.
We've talked about this. What exactly is it that you fell in love with? When I think we talked about this during in Mandalorian when we saw Luke again, and Luke was just a complete, like, he wasn't anything like Luke Skywalker was. He didn't really look like him. And he didn't really sound like him. You could tell something was off, and he behaved in ways that were just bizarre and strange. And we had this big discussion on. Well, you're clapping and you're crying and you're shitting and coming everywhere. But what exactly? What did you fall in love with? Exactly, because clearly there is a difference between what I love about the original trilogy and what you loved about the original trilogy. And I'm starting to think that you just fell in love with iconography and sound effects. You didn't fall in love with the story and the characters.
Deliberate trick. JJ talks about how this was the plan with TFA, to transpose everything you felt in the originals into this new stuff. It's just like, and it worked temporarily. It always works temporarily. It's never permanent. Because it's never like authentic and honest, and the source is not the new thing. It's the old thing. But they're still trying it. And at this point, I don't even know that they know they can do anything else. Andor is just, it's described by everybody as just this strange anomaly. Like, how did it even get made at this point? Who knows?
Gotten to the point where like these stories aren't connecting with you. That's fine. Enjoy the Star Wars you like, and then if you don't want to see more, you don't have to see more. You know?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine.
Enjoy what you like, and you don't have to see more. I don't even like. What
is it acceptable to continue watching and criticize it publicly?
I hope so.
Am I allowed?
It should be.
I have his permission.
I hope it's legal.
Not sure.
He's dead.
It's so funny because it just goes the other way again. Because they're like, oh, I didn't watch it because I don't really enjoy Star Wars. And it was like, wait, well, you didn't even watch it. How do you know you're not going to like it? It's like, okay, so what am I supposed to do then now? Like, should I watch it or not? What do you want from me?
Fine with that. But
Like I'm at the same point of like if you like Game of Thrones and you just want to watch Game of Thrones, you don't have to watch House of the Dragon.
Oh God, what a fantastic example!
You can watch whatever you'd like to.
Like when I had seen The Long Night, and then episode 4, and then The Bells, and it was like, if someone had said, so at this point, you're sure episode 6 is going to be bad, right? I'd be like, yeah. And it's like, so don't watch it then. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? I'm going to see the end of this story. Like, you can't. No way. And then it'd be like, How's the Dragon? Why watch that? Now you expect it to be bad. It's like, you know what? I do. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, it's good. It's like,
Thank God I was wrong.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Like, this whole going into hate it. It's like, well, what if it's good, though?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy if that happens?
I guess we'll find out when I watch it.
You know, if you don't like House of the Dragon, just watch the ones you like. But that doesn't mean the people watch.
Why is it always presented as like a revelation? You know what? You can just choose to watch the things that you want to watch. This is a totally unfamiliar concept to anybody in the world. So, I'm sure many people who watch this video will go, "Oh shit, I never thought about it that way," and then give it some. This is pointless. This is a pointless thing to say. It's not going to convince anybody. Why even bother?
For some reason, honestly, he's made it clear they don't expose themselves very often to alternative opinions. So many people rattle off this perspective, it makes me think they've never heard responses to it.
And they actually, that they genuinely are stunned by somebody saying, well, no, I mean, I can watch something that I don't like and still extract something from it. Whether it is just pure, like, schadenfreude of just laughing at a terrible thing, or, learning things about storytelling, which is an important one.
And also just making it clear to the people who made it, you're not going to get away with this. No, not everyone will just lick it all up and go, wow, that's juicy. I love that.
And the reality is, like, these guys, in terms of, because, I mean, this is kind of, like, I presume these guys are Star Wars YouTubers, like, the health of your ability to keep doing this is reliant on Star Wars being healthy. Star Wars is not healthy right now. It's in a very bad place. You're not going to solve that problem by telling the people who don't like it to stop watching it, and alternatively that it's not helpful or productive or worthwhile to be critical in a public way. Both these things are just detrimental to the health of the series that you essentially are relying on to some extent for the content that you do.
I'm not even kidding.
I think that's what I find fascinating about the conversation around this show is it really feels like a case of you guys need to understand, like, Star Wars can't continue like this forever. It will eventually. You can't just infinitely lose money on projects forever.
The only reason it's lasted this long is because of the juice Kathleen Kennedy has. Like, a lot of people fear her. She's got a lot of power because she had such a great reputation before. It's the only reason it's continuing this way. Nobody's firing her. Nobody has the balls to fire her. And she will continue.
Executive producer of Signs.
Oh,
yeah,
that's probably the clout she's throwing around up there. She's like, hey,
I was the EP of Signs, bitch. You listen to me. No, it's also like, the point has been made. Look at their set, all that stuff. But still, these guys are considered nerds, and they have trouble with the concept of, there's a lot of people out there, me included. I'm going to watch this shit anyway. I've always watched it. I've always watched everything. Most of everything. That's just something I've always done. Even when I knew A-Tor was going to be a shitty movie, but I fucking went and watched it anyway.
I watched all of Willow, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like I'm watching this stuff anyway.
Sounds rough. Yeah.
I didn't. Now, with Drink had told me to watch the first 4. I was like, it's just the first 4, right? I ain't watched any more than that, right? And he was like, yeah, just the first 4. I was like, thank you.
It doesn't get better, by the way.
What?
Willow? Yeah.
No, it doesn't get better. Just watch the movie. It's charming. But when it comes to it's charming. It's charming.
Yeah.
When it comes to how do these people here, these Star Wars people, think? Like, how do they think we're supposed to find new things to like? We have to watch stuff. Mm-hmm. We have to watch things to see if we like.
How would you like Andor? You guys loved Andor.
That's the thing. The whole argument he's making is premised on the fact that we will dislike it no matter what, but that's not true. It's provably not true. So, with every episode, with a potentially new director, a new approach, could be a good one. Should we just stop because it's likely it won't be? And at that point, it just sounds like an admission of how shit it is from them.
It's like we did the episode on A Haunting in Venice, and like I understand that the first 2 were not all that good. but we really, really liked A Haunting in Venice. I really, really liked it. And
on retrospect, I actually quite liked the Nile one, A Death on the Nile, better than I remembered.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but
so you changed your mind when you saw something.
That's insanity.
Well, that's not a thing that happens.
What was the one with Daisy Ridley?
That was Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah,
that was.
I like that one.
I like I want to see the original because I've seen comparison videos that make it look pretty cool, but I didn't like the new version. Really liked Haunting in Venice. Did you see that, Gary?
No, I haven't, but I will now.
You should.
Honestly,
really good.
I would guess that would be the one out of the three you'd like the most.
Okay.
I could be wrong though.
I really liked it.
We'll see.
I'll watch it with the missus.
Sweet.
House of the Dragon need to be ridiculed or told how wrong they are.
Yeah, but there's this.
Wait. Let's roll it back here. I don't know.
Wait, what?
What was happening there?
Watch the ones you like. But that doesn't mean the people watching House of the Dragon need to be ridiculed or told how wrong they are.
Yeah. Okay, so your friend there just called us vile for disliking. I'm not going to say he didn't use any specificity, but his reference was someone getting a fact wrong, that doesn't make you vile. That would make you mistaken, if true. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that they weren't actually wrong, because the Acolyte is so fucked up.
Were correct.
They probably were correct, yeah. So, don't be... they always try and take that sort of accolade in the, so to speak, not real war. They're like, you guys always make fun of us for liking things. Like, you guys make fun of the people for disliking it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this... I don't know. I'm trying to choose my words correctly. There's this...
Go no filter, bro. Do it.
Yeah.
Tell us how you feel.
Show us some passion. Just do it. No
Ironically, I think the word he was looking for instead of correctly was carefully, but...
Yes, yes.
I guess you do want to choose your words correctly, I guess.
From your own point of view, yeah? Your own standard correct choice?
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
This kind of aggressive ownership a certain type of fan will have over Star Wars. And
if you just translate it until we care about the IP, sure.
I care about good storytelling, and I believe in the potential that this cultural juggernaut potentially could have. And
there is an element of aggressive ownership of trying to convince people who don't like it to stop watching because it bums you out.
Mm-hmm.
There is a level of aggressive ownership in trying to exclude people in that way.
Yeah, that aggressive ownership is totally okay when you bought the franchise for $4 billion, because aggressive ownership is why it's worth $4 billion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The fans
right.
made it this fucking valuable. It's undeniable. So, and the fans are also the people that got hyper inspired by these stories, and you shouldn't recognize better than anybody as fans of nerd stuff, IPs, whatever have you, that when you've got something that really inspires you to that degree, and then someone starts peeing on it, it don't feel good. It's like, wait a minute, that actually feels bad. Stop doing that.
Some people are into that, though.
Yeah, a little bit. You got a few of them.
Yeah.
They'll come up and they'll tell you, "Hey, you having a good time? Well, you shouldn't, and here's why." And
you could. No one's saying that.
Yeah, the boring.
You're not the inverse.
You're having fun, Lamau.
He's not the inverse.
Didn't they just do a thing of telling us, "Hey, you're not having fun. Stop not having fun."
You should have fun. You need to have fun.
I think quit having fun is definitely in the same category as that, yet you live in society curious. It's one of those ones, isn't it? Or, what's that one where the guy tells the person to shut up and let people like things? It's another one. What's that one? You know that one?
Well, the memes that with one word change flips the person who posted its mind. They're like, wait a minute, what? It never happens in reverse. That's crazy. What?
Yeah, like it's look around.
How do you unironically tell us to start having fun when we're explaining how it's not a fun thing, and then be like, stop telling us to stop having fun?
Yeah, exactly. It's the opposite of that. You're the mad guy. We're all sitting here having fun, laughing at the Acolyte, and you're saying quit having fun because we're laughing at it.
Yeah, I'm willing to fully... I don't care that you go ahead and you enjoy it, but it's surprising to me that you made clear at the beginning your enjoyment is dependent on not engaging in conversations about it.
That is
interesting report on the quality of the material here I'm supposed to be enjoying.
It is a bit strange because there have got to be, everybody's got like something that they particularly like as a piece of media, whether it's a game or a TV show or a film, that is probably not matched in terms of general feelings about it, But like how
Elden Ring.
Like Elden Ring.
That's an example of the inverse, I suppose. But how do you maintain that perspective even when a bunch of other people are telling you that you're wrong? It's like, well, I mean, how much confidence do you have in your own arguments and your own rationale for it, good or bad?
You fight people online until you lose, and when you lose, your opinion changes.
Aha!
I think that's that's the reality it's being described. It's like your like of the Acolyte is flimsy, because seemingly just watching some people talk about why they think it sucks makes it collapse. Because if they were all just like totally wrong, like
it wouldn't matter.
Surely it wouldn't make that much of a difference to you, right? Maybe you'd be bummed out that a lot of other people don't like it when you think it's so awesome, but like you certainly wouldn't be feeling bummed out about it actually being of low quality. That's the kind of thing that happens when the arguments are compelling, and then your opinion changes on it.
All of us talking about the Lord of the Rings extensively over decades has definitely made it lower in our estimation, right? Everyone
I
hate
totally. I hate Lord of the Rings. Boo.
Right. Whenever I find any shows that I
filthy
like,
hobbits.
No Tom Bombadil
too.
Whenever I find a new show that I like, I can't shut up about it to people. You know?
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. I want to keep telling people.
Meanwhile,
like when I watched Black Sails, I was like, I want to keep telling people to watch Black Sails. When I watched Arcane, I was like, I want to keep telling people to watch Arcane. That's a good thing.
Well, and if it's like, I can't enjoy Rings of Power unless I block myself from online discussions, like, oh.
Interesting.
There might be a reason for that.
And they give all these reasons, and if I don't agree with those reasons, they go, shill, you know, like...
Oh,
well, you are sitting in a Star Wars.
You are sitting in a Star Wars themed studio.
I'm sorry. He said, "I like all of it. I like all of it."
Yes.
I like all Star Wars.
Like it's not impossible
financial interest
to authentically enjoy all of it, but it does feel a little like on the side of. If someone said, "I despise every last piece of art that ever existed," you might be like, "Ooh, you're in a bit of trouble yourself." But okay, I would just need to see these arguments. He said he doesn't even have these discussions, right? He said he avoids them.
I have someone in Discord said this. They said that these guys rated both Arcane and Fallout a 10 out of 10.
Oh.
So if that's true, I'm not at all surprised.
See, now the fun part about that is just how much it devalues the praise of Arcane.
Oh yeah, like a 10 is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Their review.
I just mean this is the nature of how like toxic positivity, I guess, would manifest. When you say that one thing is a 10 that I have a very favorable opinion of, and then another thing is of equivalent quality when I think it is like basically the opposite of that. It just like devalues whatever the nature of your praise probably was for Arcane.
Let me guess. The Acolyte, they probably give like a 9.
Yeah, like they're kind of like the IGN, right? Where everything skews like a 7 or above. It's nothing ever scores like even a 5 out of 10.
It's not perfect. It's like that's how they'll phrase it. Well, the show isn't perfect, so as if that's like hedging their very reasonable opinions.
And they'll say the reason it's not a perfect 10 is because I knew who Smiler Ren was before the reveal. It would have been perfect 10 if they'd hidden that better. Oh, okay.
Sure.
So aggressive and so, and I'll use the word arrogant to be like, no, my opinion is so right. It is now jumped into the realm of objective, which
you already said that about your response to people earlier. Remember when he said people are objectively wrong?
Do we need to have do we need to sit him down in the little chair like a 10-year-old and be like, yes, opinions can be objective. We need to rid your mind of this notion they can't be.
He already laid out the groundwork. He said there's people talking about the show, and then they say the show is bad because it breaks continuity, and then they'll cite examples, and they will be objectively wrong. And then he's like, it's so crazy out there. People are saying they're objectively right. It's like you? Like, what?
I mean, it sums it up.
As a
you know best. They all do it. They all do it. Every single one.
Yeah.
But they don't think they do it, but they do.
It's always so great. They just pretend like they sit in their little bubbles. Like, I'm not taking part of this, but let me shit on them real quickly.
I'm above all this. I'm going to distance myself.
I'm this myself.
The final world.
Objective nerds over there, those objectivoids. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
The other opinion is dismissed as, well, you're just a shill or whatever, and your opinion isn't valid at all.
I mean, and, I keep saying it. I don't know how much you agree or anybody else agrees, but like we're very politically charged right now, especially in the United States of America.
Are we?
Because...
I'm not. I'm not.
The conversation about the Acolyte does not need to veer into the election, but okay, fine, get going.
Like,
either way, we're gonna
overlap between Trump and the Acolyte.
I threw up my hands in the air ages ago. There's gonna be a retard of the White House for 4 years. I'm here to make fun of the Acolyte. I don't fucking care.
Woo!
Jeez, we're also politically. It's like, no, speak for yourself.
Because we have an election coming up, and
do we?
What's that got to do with the Acolyte?
He's saying everybody's mad. Everybody's
it's the bongo
mad.
card Trump mentioned. We're so close to being able to cross.
Though he's right.
I was waiting for that, then debate.
It's a politically charged time. This is why in the forums regarding stuff like Teletubbies, even they are incensed. They're having
and then
debates.
He's like watching the Acolyte. He says, you know, this reminds me of the upcoming British parliamentary election.
Please don't remind me of the upcoming British parliamentary election. It's all
what do you mean?
These hateful, arrogant bigots who don't like the Acolyte are spreading the MAGA agenda, and it's a sad sign of the state we live in today.
Rue.
I want to hear Trump and Biden debate the Acolyte.
Yeah,
I do too.
Well, fucking
God, I
about
good point for that.
Acolyte, pretty bad.
Like politics and the way that you talk about things go from like we have a disagreement to if you think differently, you're an immoral thug.
You called people vile.
What? You did call us vile. Also, we get called Nazis because we didn't like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. A
day.
lot of this is falling on deaf ears for me.
It's so unbelievable. The amount of people we've covered who have no idea the shit they say, but they'll absolutely feel it when it's said to them, Like,
Dude, it seriously is tone of voice. It really is like tone of voice can completely overshadow the actual words coming out of someone's mouth.
As long as I say it nicely, I could say any nasty, disgusting thing I want.
Meanwhile, somebody can actually say something that's incredibly tame, but they throw in a swear word like fuck or shit, and it's game over for them.
Yep.
Seriously, it really is one of those things you got to pay attention to. It really is.
Like both sides of the spectrum do this. The system's designed to keep us fighting so that we don't unify.
Nice save.
Bro.
Nice save. Yeah. Okay.
We're all just waiting for how this relates to how the Acolyte is shit.
This reminds me, look, right? I learned from the Hunger Games. It's all about making all of us fight so that we don't see the real problem.
Oh my god.
God, I'm so bored.
This reminds me of how it works.
That's just how it works. But right now we have the combination of.
Oh, by the way, this is just all how it works. You could just choose not to do that. At any point, you could just make the decision.
At any point in time, you can
engage
choose to conduct your life in the way that you believe is ethical.
No,
is he
even if you like he's recognized it, but it's like you could just choose not to do it. At any point, you could just be like, you know what? I'm not going to be a party to that system and that culture. I'm not going to be that way. Instead of throwing your hands up and saying, "Well, that's just how it goes," I guess.
Look around. It's like that riveting Itchy and Scratchy episode that was directed by Quentin Tarantino. Okay, where Quentin Tarantino was talking about how violence is in our society. It's like in breakfast cereals, man. And then Itchy and Scratchy just lopped his head off and had a dance. They decided they were mavericks. They blazed their own
exactly.
path. I heard that because of that, Tarantino didn't want to do like a cameo on The Simpsons. I don't know if that's true though.
Hope
but that's
not.
funny to me.
Funny, yeah.
What a nerd.
AI getting
I
very,
hope
very
it's not true.
powerful, and that is including with all technology, including
he brought in AI, by the way.
AI now, yeah.
We're going everywhere.
AI.
What's
How
next?
does the Acolyte affect Ukraine and Israel Palestine? I need to know.
Yeah. How about we make some NFTs about this?
Yes.
Oh
How many Russians is Smilo Ren gonna stab in the jungle?
The way that engagement is farmed, the way that like your aggression and the things that rile you up.
Bro, it's not that deep.
I love
the
how
show
he
is
says
just
these
bad.
things like that, these profound revelations when there are these really boring, trite observations. And why are we even talking about this? I thought we were talking about I was about to say Ahsoka. I thought we were talking about the Acolyte.
Well, Fringy, you're gonna feel like a really big dumb stupid head when he loops this all back around and it all makes sense in the end.
He's bringing it home, guys. Come on.
I sure hope it all makes
a few more
sense in the
talking
end.
points. He's got to bring in COVID at some point.
And he just stops
You
him.
know
This
what?
is how
Look,
Germany lost World War II.
True.
Have they like used a like a Lego box and like painted it blue and done like all of the marks and stuff? I kind of like that. I'm just looking at the thing that they've got their microphones on. Like I kind of like the
it's
the
like
way they
an
made that.
upside down, like some sort of a not like a carton or a pallet kind of thing, maybe.
It's effort.
Like a
I like
fruit.
it.
I like it.
Something.
I do. I like it. I
they
think
got
it's neat.
they got the stands there.
Yeah.
It would make it
They got their
decidedly
space
less cool
cop
if this was
set,
something like
yeah.
Disney sent them as part of the podcast.
Oh yeah,
then.
yeah. If that happened, then I wouldn't care as much.
It looks
but
custom. I don't
they
know.
made
I don't hate the
They
studio.
made it. I
It's
like
just
it.
the hosts aren't
It's
working
just
for
the
me.
people.
Yeah, it's the host, you're
There's just like a perfect storm, especially around the Acolyte, that perplexes me.
It ain't a perfect. No, where were you for Boba Fett?
Perfect
Where were you for
storm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi? Where were you
This isn't
for
a
Mando
perfect
season
storm.
3, the Jack Black episode? Come on, where were you?
The storm has passed, and we're just
This
like,
is the
man,
storm's fart.
Oh, how refreshing this light rain is from that hurricane that has since passed.
But not in that.
Well, yeah,
you know,
this is
if
like
someone
the
does-
aftershock, and it shakes, and you're like, "Oh shit!" I just noticed that. Meanwhile, all the buildings around you have already collapsed.
Yeah, but it's peaceful
You have-
now, and you're like, oh, it's everything's destroyed and everything's in ruins, and we hate everything, and it's all terrible now. But it's not loud.
doesn't like, the story beats and stuff. I'm perfectly fine with that. But there
you?
seems to be like a real.
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't like recognize when people are that. That's the problem. You'll say like, well, no, I'm fine with people who are like this. It's just interesting that those people don't exist. When you actually start to.
He doesn't like the
like,
vile
it's certainly
people,
in terms
okay?
of-
Just the
Well,
vile
it's just
ones.
the thing that you're focused on is certainly not that, because you probably don't think that there are that many people who are falling under that category. They just don't like it for the reasons you've deemed as legitimate.
Agenda of animosity this time.
Agenda of animosity is
An agenda
It's
of
a bad
animosity.
Yeah, agenda of animosity. Yeah.
That I have not felt in any other point in Star Wars.
I'll give him.
really?
I'll give him that. People are angrier than ever with Disney for how they've
Yes.
treated Star Wars. But where have you been in terms of
Yeah.
noticing every step
Well,
along
he's
the
dead.
way?
He's not been watching. He's not been paying attention to the conversation.
Yeah,
on the
well,
internet.
stick your head back in the
Yeah.
sand then, I guess.
He's lying.
Yeah.
He
Were you
knows.
around for The Last Jedi? It was worse than that.
That was a little
Animosity
while
came
ago,
from.
yeah.
It's disappointing.
Sure.
Because man, when I was a kid, and I would leave the theater, watch an
Was that
episode
4 years
2,
ago?
Attack of the Clones. I'm gonna go online and talk about it.
Yeah, episode 2 was really shit though. But
It is quite a terrible film.
yeah, it's not the worst of the 3 though.
Well, let's just.
And it was just all these,
Like plenty of
Yeah.
people were shitting all over it back then as well.
primarily
really bad.
older fans just shitting on it. Like this is the worst.
That's fine. That is okay. They can do that.
Yeah.
They're
That
okay.
is very much allowed.
Maybe they should have made better movies.
Yeah.
What? How dare you? You take that back.
Saying,
Worst movie ever. George Lucas doesn't understand Star Wars.
I mean, there's
Well, I mean, the
doesn't.
guys
Well,
the
the thing
guys
is,
got some opinions.
it feels like there are certain like everyone right now, even people who liked some of the new episodes of Doctor Who, have been agreeing that RTD no longer understands what makes Doctor Who work. Like, yeah. And they do that thing every time. This happens with James Cameron, happens with Ridley Scott. It's like, how could you say that about the people who made the thing originally? It's like, I don't know, I just did. How about
It's
that?
not controversial in but like any other art form. Everybody kind of assumes that bands will stop doing their best material when they hit their 30s, and writers tend to stop doing their best material when they hit their 50s. Like every other art form hits this peak point where most people who've created a thing lose the thing that made them great to begin with. Either they get too comfortable, or they try and go off in a brand new direction that doesn't work, or they don't have the inspiration anymore. Like it's all these many, many different theories and inspirations as to why that is the case. But it's not controversial to say that normally does happen. I don't see why film is any different.
I do.
Not.
Like the arrogance of that statement a little way. Like I understand not liking something.
We've gone over this before. There are fans that know an IP better than the creators sometimes. It exists. You should recognize it's possible.
I'd say that's basically every IP. There are some autistic neckbeard in a basement who edits the wiki and maintains every element of lore and canon and fact and fiction, and he breathes that shit far more than the author does.
Yeah, especially if it's
There's
an
a
author
lot of
that's
people out
made
there.
many worlds, right? And then the fan is just a huge fan of that one world. the author's gonna be like, that's great, and you probably do know better than I do at this point, and I'm glad for that. Like, why couldn't you just say that instead of be like, you arrogant fuck, I created this world, you can... vile
man out of my room.
Something, but not liking something to that point, I hated that. That was the worst part, and I always remember being like, I truly don't feel like the sequels got to that point. I mean,
really,
you don't feel.
Do you remember the sequels was so... Rise of Skywalker was so bad it made Patrick Williams have a meltdown on Twitter where he was like, fuck you, J.J. Abrams, you ruined my life.
Bad that even the actors weren't even pretending that they were excited about participating in Star Wars anymore. They were just saying, like, I mean, what was it that Oscar Isaac said? Like, if he wanted another house, he'd do another Star Wars movie.
Distinctly remember Rise of Skywalker was a joke to everyone.
Meanwhile, there was a lot of hype around Revenge of the Sith. Like, I don't want anybody pretending otherwise. There was a lot of hype around Revenge of the Sith.
Even the people who didn't like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones were like, all right, well, this is the one with Vader, you know, so all right, I'll give this a shot. You know, we'll see how it goes. And I think, if I remember correctly, the trailer was pretty bitchin'.
I think I mean, just the fact that Disney has basically abandoned the sequel trilogy as like an era is like, man, we're making the High Republic.
We're getting the Rey
We've
movie.
already... Right. Very true. I stand corrected.
You fool.
But we've squeezed all the juice that we can out of the prequels. I feel maybe if Acolyte's next or Ahsoka's next season might tap into it a bit, but I feel like that has already been like juiced for all it's worth. And they're moving on from one thing to the next. It's the meme with the Reaper going from door to door.
Yes.
Right?
Dude, that guy is tired. Like, he's got 1 billion doors.
Too many doors.
He's like, boy, I mean, I love killing, but jeez.
Love the idea he opens up the door and it's Star Wars, and he's like, I did this one already. Like, what? It's already on the floor covered in blood. It's like, yeah, you gotta hit it again.
I mean, it's certainly louder now just because there's more people online, but the
louder now because more people feel the same way. I mean, that's another thing I'd like to see him address. As for people who make content breaking it down, they give a voice to a lot of other people who feel it's not getting addressed publicly enough. The absolute destruction of a legacy. How does he feel about that? I don't know.
The vitriol of the prequel hate back in the early 2000s was like scary, and maybe that was more
scary. Maybe things were scarier when you were younger. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the internet isn't for you.
It was
scary. Shit about something. I don't know, man.
I just like the idea that he comes on to talk to you about how scary it was at a forum where someone said Attack of the Clones was cringe, and then you just come away from a Modern Warfare 2 lobby like, yeah, man. I know what you mean.
There's like 17 people who slept with my mother last night. I don't know what you're on about.
She's getting around. I don't know.
She is a busy lady.
Old racial slurs I didn't even know existed.
That's how I learned about races, by first discovering the slur
Modern Warfare
and then having to track that into like, oh, there is a people. Is okay, all right.
Just because of my age, but like it feels scarier this time than it had even in the sequel era.
Yeah. I just think anyone who says that is just advertising how infirm they are as a person, and I don't want to take them seriously. Like, how are you scared by online discourse like that?
Scary.
Embrace
People
it.
Don't like Star Wars, and it's scary.
Talk it through. Maybe convince all of us we were actually being way too harsh, or maybe you'll find some insight and you'll decide, you know what? Yes, Star Wars is going in a horrible direction, and we shouldn't encourage it. How about that?
For me, I don't know. I'm not really sure why, but I mean, I am sure why. Just because, like, you're getting all of these buzzwords and all of these.
Yeah, because you guys never use buzzwords.
Vile, evil, hateful, racist, fascist, troglodytic, homophobic, transphobic, etc., etc. All those people are mean to me. Fuck you.
Like ways of speaking that you generally reserve for more objective. Discussions than you do.
I thought you said there's no such thing.
You don't know what it is. What? Yeah, it's just all opinions. There's no such thing as objective opinions. Like, an opinion can't be based on some matter of fact that exists independent of minds. It's madness.
Something like art, you know? And it's real strange.
Sure.
I'm just really uncomfortable right now as a fan.
Wow.
Okay.
You shouldn't be.
No, you really shouldn't. You should be more than comfortable being like, no, the Acolyte's bitching, and here's why. Because I break things down for a living. I know why. And other people are getting these things wrong. Here's why. We covered John Campea. He thought he knew why people were wrong. He was wrong. And that's okay.
he had the confidence to go to Campea's class or whatever and break that down completely wrong and then contradict himself. But man, he had the confidence to do it. God bless him.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.